Now, it's very important that we notice the next words. When evening came. It's very important to notice the time indicators in Mark's gospel. He already told us that the miracle of the feeding of the 5,000 earlier in Mark chapter 6 and verse 35, he told us it was late in the day. Now, late in the day in Mark's writing meant no later than 5 o'clock. Maybe a little earlier, maybe slightly later, but not much. Evening, on the other hand, was similar to what evening is in much of the world. It'd be 6, 7, no later than 8. So it's somewhere after the late in the daytime, now in what would be 6 or 7 o'clock at night. Now, Mark has a reason for telling us what time it is, and we need to pay attention to it. When evening came, the boat was in the middle of the lake, and he was alone on the land. And he saw the disciples straining at the oars. People often say, how did he see? I don't know. And Mark didn't tell us. That is really not that important to Mark. I can guess. Moonlit night, high winds, and he could look out and see. That's as close as I can come to any explanation. Anyway, he saw the disciples straining at the oars because the wind was against them. The wind blowing on the lake was powerful and forceful, and it was directly opposed to them. It was a force that was opposed to them. It's part of what leaders have to deal with, isn't it? Forces that are opposed to us. About the fourth watch of the night, now you see why time is so critical. We have late in the day, we have evening. Now, the fourth watch of the night. What is that? That's Roman time. Military time. You know what that is? 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. It was evening when they got in the boat to row a couple of miles. It was, say, 7 o'clock. Now it is all the way around to 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. It's 8 or 9 hours later. Now, how long does it take strong men to row a boat 2 miles? I mean, they could take turns. Every 10 minutes, they change the rowers. Well, maybe it was every 20 minutes, but they could take turns. But something happened. This forceful wind came up against them, and they could not move forward. Instead of going to the northwest, instead they have been blown way off course. They're in the middle of the lake. And they're straining, and they're getting nowhere. And Jesus sees them. So what's he going to do? Now, he had the power from that mountainside where he was to look out across that lake and simply say to himself, be still, and the storm would stop. And we'd love that. As leaders, we'd love it if only he would say, be still, and the storms that we face would stop. We'd be so ecstatic to see those storms end. To see the tension in our church, to see the struggle within our organization, to see the threat within our business, to see that go away, that would be fantastic. As teachers, to see the educational system turned around, wouldn't that be great? There's a lot of things he can do. But everything he does has us in mind and has the purpose of enabling us to do what we cannot do with what we do not have. He wants us to succeed, but he wants us to succeed his way. So what does he do? Very fascinating. About the fourth watch of the night, he went out to them walking on the lake. Now that's fascinating, isn't it? He was about to pass them by. Stop right there. You ever notice that? He was about to pass them by. What was he doing? He just wanted to show off somehow? What was his purpose in passing them by?